Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome back to the ServeNow EDU webinar series after quite a long hiatus. I'm Trent Carlisle, co-founder of Logical, the company that developed ServeNow, Serve Manager, and PI Now. As I said, we took several months off in the second half of 2017, but we hope to get these webinars back on track for the 2018 year. If this is your first ServeNow EDU webinar, these are all about providing education to the process serving legal support industry, how to grow your business. We've covered how to grow and how to improve your business. We've covered many topics from e-filing to compliance to social media and SEO. All those past recordings are on the EDU section of ServeNow if you want to check those out. And if you ever have suggestions on topics or speakers for the webinars, please do contact us. Let us know what you want to hear about. We'll certainly be open to any topics or speakers that you suggest to us. We want to make these valuable to the audience. Before I introduce today's guest, I'll let you know that the recording of this webinar should be posted online in the next few days on the EDU section of ServeNow. You can also view these webinars on YouTube or iTunes, so go and subscribe to those channels. And if you're joining us live today, feel free to ask questions along the way using the question section of the GoToWebinar panel. Today our guest is our very own Madison, aka Maddie Markell, who is joining us from Seattle. If you're a ServeNow member, there's a good chance you've spoken to Maddie at some point in the past. She's been with the company for going on 3 years now. She started with us as our client concierge, helping our members set up their profiles, helping them get the most out of their ServeNow listings, optimizing those, and answering any questions they have about our products. She was and still is kind of our Swiss Army knife over here. She knows probably more about the company than anyone, and there's not a whole lot she cannot do. In her current role as a member of the marketing team, she is our content manager and our website product manager. She's designed many websites for our customers, and that's what she's here to talk about today. The title of the webinar today is Website Essentials for the Legal Support Industry. Again, feel free to ask questions along the way. We're happy to stop and answer those. And then Maddie, thanks for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, great. Thanks, Trent. So Trent kind of covered all this, but a little bit of background about me. I've been working at ServeNow for 2.5, 3 years. And if you're a ServeNow member, we've likely spoken before. ServeNow itself has coded over 250 websites for servers and investigators, and we also offer optimization to help those sites rank. We've been helping process servers online marketing since 2004, and personally, I've been coding websites for ServeNow for 1.5 years. And I also manage content for our sites as well. So today, to help process servers learn a little bit more about what goes into a website, today I'll be talking about website essentials for the legal support industry and the starting steps to what you need in a site. So the first slide, this is just kind of a summary of everything we'll be touching on today, the larger topics. So we'll be covering what factors you need to consider when deciding what type of website you want, what constitutes good design, your content basics, technical details, and how to get the most of your website with links and listings. So identifying your website needs. Here are some questions you should ask yourself when you're trying to decide what you want from a website. First off, your budget. What can you afford? Website prices greatly vary, so it's important to recognize what your budget is. Keep in mind that website designs often involve a setup fee and then a monthly fee, so you should address what you're willing to spend. Next, your tech resources. Do you understand some coding basics? Are you comfortable designing and maintaining a site? Do you need any SEO? Or do you have an in-house developer or designer to build and upkeep a site? Moving on to your content. You want to have a foundation of content that you want included on your site. Make sure that you identify your key content points before you begin the design of your site. and the design of your site should work around the content, not the other way around. Lots of content should have larger sites, so you should decide if you plan on blogging or regularly creating new material. It's also important to note that large amounts of content also require more maintenance and updating. Therefore, you should factor in your available time. Do you have the time to update and create unique content often? And can you dedicate time to maintain your website to industry standards? Just how much time do you have to devote to your site in general? And then once you've factored in your budget, content needs, resources, you can figure out what size you want your ideal website to be. So your decision considerations, taking together budget, resources, size, content, and time, you can decide how you want to proceed in building your site. So the first option is building your own. This requires in-house maintenance and tech knowledge to ensure everything is working properly. One should have, in my opinion, design and coding skills should you want to embark on this. Also, there are some do-it-yourself options like GoDaddy and Squarespace, but you should know that you'll still be doing a lot of work by writing your own content, finding appropriate images, and just working on the design in general. I've also found that some of those sites have some small details missing, like social media links, so you just want to make sure that everything is updated. And then the other option here is hiring a company to design and host your site for you. When picking a company, you should research their prices, what the company provides, preview any existing designs to see if you like their style, and ask what type of support they offer. So once you've decided what you want in a website, yeah.
I'm sorry, before we get too far into the next section, just talking about the kind of do-it-yourself, Squarespace, Wix, as you mentioned, GoDaddy even has a product for that now. There's a ton of those out there where you can, you can build your own website, you can do it yourself. What has the overall experience been on your end with customers that have done this in the past, or just kind of looking at these sites yourself? Like of course it's do it yourself, but it's not like you're pushing a button and the site's built, content's built, etc. Overall, what's your take on those types of products, and when they should be utilized?
Okay. Well, the first thing I normally notice is that the sites aren't always complete. There seems to be blank pages, and the social media links, if you click on them, they'll take you to like Squarespace's Facebook page or Wix's Facebook page. So there's always a lot of small details missing, just because it's a lot to go through those templates. Also, the templates themselves you see them a lot across the web. And in my design opinion, they always tend to look like they belong to coffee shops, not necessarily legal support professionals. They are options, but it just takes a lot of time to update and make sure that the website is as polished and professional as hiring someone or having an in-house designer do it for you. Okay, so once you decide on what you want in a website, you can start looking at your design essentials. Good design creates a positive user experience and can make a new customer comfortable using your company if your website is polished and professional. So it's important that your website has a clean and modern layout that's easy to read and easy to locate important information. You don't want something that's busy, overwhelming, or hard to locate your contact information, like this example. This site is just overcrowded, a lot of information going on, just too much to read through and to find the information that you're looking for when you're browsing this site. Also, there's not any really distinct headers other than at the very top. And his contact information, even though it's at the top, it's hard to find his phone number right off the bat. And process server websites, one of the main reasons of having one is getting people to call. So this is a poorly laid out website versus having a clean design that's easy to read with clear sections. It's not overcrowding and it's user friendly. And here is an example of one of ServeNow's sites that has a clean layout. It's not overcrowded, it has blank spaces, and it clearly defines what this company does. It has each individual sections. So move down to the main content. You can easily find their about us, their services, contact information. It's just way easier on the eye, more user-friendly, just an easier site to read.
Yeah, I think, you want it to be digestible, like you said. If someone's just glancing at your website, you want to know, you want your customers, your visitors to know what you do right away, how to contact you right away, what your primary services are, where you're located, et cetera. And, I think that's, showing those two examples, makes it pretty clear, what works and what doesn't.
So next on your design essentials are your strategic color choices. Your website design should have a set color palette and use those colors to its advantage. On this example, the important information is highlighted in red, meaning their company name, their CTA or calls to action, and the phone icon next to their phone. So it really alerts the visitor to what's important on the page with that bright color, showing that they should click the contact button or give them a call. And most often, a precise and small color palette with one or two complementary colors is often most attractive and effective on websites. So branding recognition. A website design should follow with the company's established brand or create a style to be used on other marketing materials. Branding recognition is memorable and makes an impression on visiting and recurring clients. So here in this example, this company chose a unique company name, 12 lines process service, and incorporated that into the imagery on their site with the line in the background, as well as colors that match that theme of the line. Kind of goes along with that. And keep in mind, for a truly impactful brand identity, be sure that your imagery, logos, colors match across all of your marketing materials. Alongside of branding recognition come logos. So a good marketing plan includes a clean and recognizable logo. You can get logos from many places, such as Professional Graphic Designer, or quick designs from sites like Fiverr, 99 Designs, Upwork, or CrowdSpring. And unless you have serious design chops, I suggest avoid putting your own logo together and considering hiring a professional. And you should definitely avoid clip art, as that will not stand out from the competition and may be poor quality. However, there are some tools that can help create your logo. On the right here is a logo that I made in under 5 minutes with canva.com. It has some preloaded images and fonts that makes it easy to create a good logo. Also, if you're interested in hiring a graphic designer, here's a site, Fiverr. They have a logo section where you can kind of narrow down the design style that you like and view some freelance graphic designers along with their prices, just to browse your options, see what you like and what's going to work best for your company.
Yeah, I don't know how good, but Fiverr comes from the notion of, it used to be a site where people will do things for literally $5. I don't know how good a $5 logo is going to be, but you can probably get one done for $100 or less. That would be very good.
Yeah. So in general, it's just good to know what comes with purchasing a logo. Cheaper logos will have more limitations, and if you want multiple edits, those will cost as well. So when describing your ideal logo to your graphic designer, be sure to have your ideal imagery, colors, and your finalized business name chosen ahead of time for your sake and their sake as well. And if you end up hiring a professional graphic designer, they should give you multiple versions of the same logo with different variations for different uses, and it should be print ready as well. So the different versions, one should have color, one should be in black and white, and one or more should be transparent. And what I mean by transparent are these top two Serve Manager logos. You can see the background through them, whereas the bottom one has that white background that's not transparent. Often these files will come in the form of a PNG format, so the highest quality is maintained. So what makes a good logo? Your logo should be unique so as to leave a lasting impression, but you want to keep it simple and clean so that it translates well on all mediums. Typically, a horizontally oriented logo, longer than it is tall, works best for websites. So when you're getting started with your own logo design, you should think of large corporation logos. The examples here are clean and recognizable with no competing imagery. They have consistent colors and fonts, but if you're not a globally recognized brand, you may have to provide more industry-specific imagery or information to quickly convey what you do. So your design checklist should provide a clear idea of what you want for your brand and how that translates into a website with a clean layout. You should finalize your colors and make sure they are consistent across all marketing materials. And next, specify any imagery that relates to your industry, company name, or overall theme. But keep in mind to keep your images simple and consistent. And finally, invest in professional logo to bring together your branding. It should be unique, clean, and work across all multiple mediums like your website, flyers, and email signature, anywhere where you want to put that logo. All right, so moving on to content. Content is the most important aspect of a website. It's the reason people come to your website and one of the main deciding factors in how search engines rank for online searches. The content basics that I'll be covering here are focused on the main company content on your website, not particularly directed towards blogs or online articles.
Yeah, whenever you want to address it, Maddie, but as far as, content, maybe talk a little bit about, beyond services, I'm a process server, I do skip tracing, et cetera. Maybe talk a little bit about, what other types of content that our customers should be including on their website beyond that.
Yeah, so this might be a little bit much information to begin with, but you should include some general information about your industry. Not everyone who visits your website is an industry professional, especially if you're ranking well. So an FAQ, general information, any additional information, if you provide a specialty like skip tracing, that should be included on your website with some content about what that is. So what makes your company unique and special services are always a good idea to include in the content of your website. But in regards to organizing your content, you want your content to be easily found as well. So that means making sure your most important information, your contact information, your calls to action, and your services are dominant on your website. We recommend putting your phone number in the header of your website so that it's predominantly displayed, because you don't want to make your customers search for your phone number, otherwise you won't get many calls. Make it as easy as possible for them to find the information they came to your site for. You should also group relevant information together into sections so that your audience can find the information they need quickly and easily. And with those separate sections, make sure they're labeled appropriately so the information is identifiable. And that goes with our site example here. Let me scroll back up to the top. You can see that their contact information is easily found. One of the first things you see on their site, and each section here is clearly labeled with their header and their main content. And their main content, like I touched on before, even has different sections broken up within it. And it breaks up even further in services with the type of services they offer. So just making it as easy as possible to find the information that they came to your site for. So informative, you want your content to be readable and accessible, meaning that your content on your website goes beyond just lists of keywords. It's important to write for your human audience and not just search engines. Your website content should be written in full sentences with a professional tone, and keywords should be included in those complete sentences and header tags for a more natural flow to your website. You want to make sure that your content is user-friendly. Not all your website visitors, especially if you're ranking well, will understand the intricacies of your services. So plainly explain what your company offers and how you can help them. By explaining and providing more information, you can increase your chances of ranking as well And that goes along with Trent's first question about content, is just providing more information for both industry professionals and people who found you on the web who are just looking for a process server. It's good to write for both audiences. And then lastly, the content of your website should be unique. You don't want to copy or paste directly from Facebook or other competitor websites. Instead, you should include details about why your company is unique and the reasons that you should be hired. Unique content shows to both humans and search engine bots that you are a legitimate company.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. You know, we've been in this industry long enough to see that, you know, people will, you know, copy articles or kind of a, you know, an about us or services page and just, you know, make a few changes here and there. That is not going to help you out. It's going to hurt you more than anything. So make sure that, you know, if you don't have the ability to write your own content, find someone who can, because that's, other than the, you know, random customer, potential client who's stumbling across your website, that's not going to help you with the search engines. You're going to get penalized for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, before we move on to off of content, talk, if you don't mind, a little bit about blogging and when, you know, how you decide if you should have kind of that higher level of ongoing content on your website. You know, what would you say to a customer who asked you, you know, should I have a blog on my site?
I think it all breaks down to time and resources. If you can regularly create content, I think it's a really good idea. But if you're, you know, going to be posting articles sporadically, sometimes, you know, I look at sites that have blogs, and the last post was from 2011. And it makes me wonder if the company is still open or not. So if you are posting, you want it to be frequently, or just update those dates, because it can look like your business is, you know, no longer operating. It is a good idea though, because you can create content that is unique to each, you know, a specific question. But again, you know, it's all down to resources and time that comes along with that, because it is a lot of work to make sure those articles are updated and that links are working still. You know, if you have an article from 2005 with a broken link, you will want to go back in and fix that broken link. So it's breaks down to time and expertise.
Yeah. Well, I think even from a maintenance perspective too, if you're using a platform like a WordPress that has a blog that affords you the ability to do that, you know, then you're more likely to have to spend time maintaining that website so it's on the latest version. And if you don't, then bad things can happen too, as far as, you know, getting hacked or, you know, having it not be as secure as you'd want it to be.
Yeah, it's a lot to update and maintain.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, so technical details. These are a little bit more behind the scenes when coding a website, but it's still important to recognize what the basic necessities are so that your site stays relevant in online searches. So I can't stress this enough. Your site needs to be mobile friendly. Mobile friendly websites are compatible on all devices and screen sizes, meaning that they respond to the width of the browser. Often mobile-friendly websites reformat their layout with the screen sizes so that the important information is still dominantly displayed. A really easy way to see if a site is mobile-friendly is to resize your browser on a computer if you don't have a phone handy. So just doing that, you can see that this site is mobile-friendly. It doesn't just squish the site, it reformats it so that the content is still readable and predominant on the page. Everything is still easily found and formatted in a way that it's friendly on all device sizes.
Yeah.
And it's really important that your site is mobile friendly, because more and more potential customers are searching the web on their mobile devices. And if your site is hard to read on their mobile device, they'll quickly move on to your competitor. And also, search engines like Google are placing a higher importance on sites that are mobile friendly and penalizing those sites that are not.
Right. Yeah, let's talk about mobile for another minute here. I have a question, then we have a question from the audience as well. In the past, the way that this was dealt with quite a bit, meaning having a mobile site, and we're still seeing it today, is people would have a separate website, a subdomain, meaning, you know, mobile dot or m dot whatever your name is .com. Are you still seeing that? Is that a practice that you are still comfortable with? What's happening with that notion?
Yeah, I do see those from time to time, and I don't like it. It splits your website traffic in two, and it forces them to click a button, you know, if they want to go to that mobile site. It's a little outdated. And two, that mobile browser, it doesn't reformat with the width of the screen. It just makes it mobile friendly, meaning that it might not be formatted for, like, say, an iPad or a template. It's just like another smaller built site. So it's not compatible on all devices. It's a little outdated. I definitely recommend getting a site that's the same site that reformats to the screen size.
Yeah. Well, and you're also, you basically have two sites. Now you're maintaining two sites. If you update your phone number, or, you know, you update your logo or your content, you're having to do that in two places. And
well, and it splits your site traffic in two.
Right. Google wants to see those sites that are natively mobile friendly.
I agree.
And then it looks like we have a couple questions that have come in. One takes us back to content. Does it do any good, meaning in relation to ranking, to copy someone's blog post, or should it always be your own words?
You can repost blog posts. It'll help inform your site visitors. You should probably link back to the original post to prove where it came from. I don't know, Trent, do you have any other opinions on that?
Kind of what you're saying. I think, you know, copying and pasting them verbatim. If you're doing that, certainly preface it with that specifically. Say, you know, below is a blog post from, you know, ServeNow, CalsPro, wherever it might be from. But I think you always want to use your own words to summarize it. And, you know, then in an ideal world, you are, you know, you're kind of summarizing it. You're letting your audience know what you want them to get out of it. And then just link to the original blog post is what my recommendation would be.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people do that on our blog posts too, is they take our content, reformat it a little bit, and point back to the original article for, you know, resources.
Cool.
Okay. So going back to mobile friendly, if you have any doubts about whether or not your site is mobile friendly, there's this pretty cool tool that Google has, and you just visit this site and you type in your web page, and it'll give you an analysis on whether or not your site is mobile friendly, and what you can do to improve if it is not mobile friendly. And if you're interested in that, we'll include that link in the article write-up as well.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a bunch of just so everyone knows, I think there'll be a bunch of resources that you can go to in the blog post that goes up after this webinar to, you know, test speed and test mobile friendliness and a number of other things. So you don't need to furiously jot these down or ask what the URL is. That will be available.
All right, so next is a fast loading site. As nothing is more off-putting than a site that takes forever to load. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced this. It's you can get on a website and it's taking a minute to load. Having too many files, images, or having a music player can slow down sites. So you want to streamline your site so you don't lose impatient clients. And slow sites are not just penalized by your potential clients moving on to your competitors. Google also penalizes slow sites and don't rank them as well. So as long as your site is loading within a couple of seconds, you're not going to lose those impatient customers. All right, so crawlable code. Your site's code should be clean and up to date. This means that your most important information is in the right HTML tags, and HTML tags are the code that websites are written in. And to make sure that the written content is not hidden in images. All your site's written content should be available for both humans and search engine bots to read. So good, clean code can be hard to create, especially with all the requirements like mobile-friendly websites. This is part of the reason why you may want to consider hiring a professional developer to code your choice or code your website. If you don't feel equipped to ensure your site's code is crawlable, you should probably consult a professional designer. And just to give you a brief idea of what different HTML tags look like, we can go back to our site design example here. So up at the top, this is an H1 tag, header 1. And it's pretty easy to tell because it's a big tag, whereas this here is a smaller paragraph tag. So the difference here is that you want your more important, concise information to be in your header tags with more detailed content in your paragraph tags. So just understanding that hierarchy is a good idea when coding a website to make sure that it's appropriately coded and crawlable.
And I think that, and if you have a multi-page site too, I think that breaks down to the individual page as well. You know, you might have your home page, but if you have a service page for process service or private investigations, you know, you want to make sure that you have a, you know, a header tag, an H1 or an H2 that contains what that page is all about. So that's not your home page. That is kind of each individual page of your website.
Yeah, has those appropriate tags, hierarchy. All right, keywords. So a lot of you have probably heard the keyword. It's a pretty big buzzword when talking about websites. But in case you haven't, keywords are identifiable phrases that help people and search engines identify what your website is about. So when coming up with keywords for your site, think about what you want to rank for. And while it'd be ideal just to rank for process server or Denver process server, there are a lot of competition for those spots, so you should be realistic about your expectations. When coming up with these keywords, there are a lot of tools on the web that can help you decide what keywords you should be including on your site. And one of those is Moz's Keyword Explorer. So we'll include this link in our article write-up as well. But you can go to this link and type in an ideal keyword of yours, say process service, and it'll come up with keyword suggestions, your search engine results page analysis, and just kind of get, you know, the inspiration flowing for what keywords you can have on your site. So once you've done some research, you can pick those variations of your ideal keywords and put them in the content of your website. You also should think of keywords that stand out and illustrate what make your company unique. If you provide additional services or special services like eviction notices or skip tracing, use those keywords in your website for a broader search range as well. Don't limit yourself to just being a process server if you provide those other services. And you can also get creative with your keyword cover, like with your keywords for your coverage area. Instead of just saying Denver process server, you can include a neighborhood name like Wash Park process server, which is a neighborhood in Denver, just to, you know, show that you're a little bit more local, get creative instead of trying to compete for a really desirable keyword. But it's still important to put those desirable keywords in your site as well. Typically, more content on your site can lead to more keywords. So you should think about what information you can provide that will inform both industry professionals and new clients who are not familiar with your type of work to help expand those keywords as well. So a lot has happened since personal websites first came available. And basically how that means with keywords is that you don't need every single iteration of what your customers could potentially type into Google. Instead, keywords should be included in the content of your site, not listed in a nonsensical string of words like you see here. So you don't need every iteration of Denver process server included on your site. What you're trying to avoid is a site that looks like this. They have a list of every location you could find a process server in Arkansas. And I'm not going to take the time to read through this. I doubt you would either. And so Google's bots, they recognize that this isn't user-friendly content and will penalize them for it. If we don't want to read it, then neither does Google.
That used to work, by the way.
Yeah, it did used to work. Not anymore. So keep in mind, your most important keywords what you want to rank for the most should have a higher importance placed on them by putting them in more important HTML tags. And like we discussed before, H1 tags, like this big tag up here, is more important and weighs more heavily than a paragraph tag. So placing those more concise, important keywords in more important tags is effective. So one last thing, it's good to keep in mind that simply because you put a specific keyword on your site doesn't mean that you'll rank in searches. It all combines together with good content that has keywords written in throughout the page as well. Just everything supporting your website. All right, so moving on to security. Secure sites are becoming more popular and desirable. A secure site enables that HTTPS section of a domain URL and illustrates to the customer that what they're doing on the website isn't being openly tracked. So while there are many different levels of security for websites, in simple terms, secure sites offer encryption between the site and the server. A secure site looks like our favorite example here. HTTPS is included in that URL, you can see. And it has that secure padlock right next to it, showing that the site is secure. An example of an unsecure site is the BBC homepage. They don't have the HTTPS there, and when you click on this, it says your connection to the site is not secure. So it's clear that having a secure site isn't necessary, as illustrated by BBC's, a large corporation or large organization site. But secure sites can be beneficial because they are preferred by Google and make more customers comfortable using your site. All right, so a domain. Choosing a domain can be a balancing act between budget and availability. The starting steps to choosing a domain is whether or not you want a location-based domain or a branding recognition domain. A location industry-based domain can help specify your industry and coverage area. And these types of domains are good for new clients who need to quickly identify what you do. They may also help with rankings as search engine bots can read your domain name and assess its category. The other option is branding recognition domains. And these are useful for repeat customers and increasing your branding recognition. A company-specific domain can help your customers remember your company name in return for future work. Say if it's easy, if they know your company name is Acme Process Servers and they type in Acme Process Servers and your domain pops up, that can be easy to remember and to find you for future work. So if you're having a hard time deciding between location and branding recognition domains, you can purchase 2 domains and have 1 domain or more forward to your site so that 2 or more different domains go to the same site. It's pretty useful to see. This is what's happening in this animation here, is that they're typing in servenow.com without a dash, and then it's forwarding to serve-now.com, where our site actually lives. So domain forwarding is a pretty useful asset. So alongside domain forwarding, domains in general are a good asset to hold for your company. It's not a bad idea to purchase relevant domains to keep for your company and forward to your site. So if something's available, Denver Process Servers, that's available. It's not a bad idea to purchase that domain and have it forward.
Yeah, go ahead, Maddie.
I was just going to say one last little tip. We recommend using Gmail as your email provider because it's really easy to set up an account with a domain-related email like info@ServeNow. Just makes everything pretty seamless.
Yeah, and if anyone's wondering about the dash, that is definitely not recommended. The reason that we have the dash in ours is that's how we launched the site almost 15 years ago. We did not own the unhyphenated name. So, but we also knew that switching domains can have a negative impact. So we just left it on the hyphenated and we're forwarding the unhyphenated to the hyphenated. So yeah, switching domains can be a mess, especially if you have an established website that is ranking, that's been in the search engines for multiple years. It can be done. Definitely will take a hit, and it can take some work to get it back to where it was. And I don't think we acquired that unhyphenated until several years later. So we didn't want to mess with what we had, and that's why you're seeing that.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to have domain forwarding if you ever come across that. All right, so all of the aforementioned tips lead to a site that has the basics for optimization. And just in case you don't know, SEO means search engine optimization. So your site should have a clean layout that allows for easy visitor access, that makes your well-written content quickly found. A mobile-friendly design allows for more potential customers to find you and increases your chances of ranking in front of outdated sites. Lastly, but certainly not least, appropriate tags and keywords alert site visitors and search engine bots to what your company is all about. That helps increase client turnover and ranking. So one of the last topics that we'll touch on here is making the most out of your website, particularly if you're not able to partake in a full-fledged search engine optimization plan or even a local optimization. There are some basic steps you can take to ensure you're getting the most out of your website, and those are links and listings. Links are the first step to getting your site to new clients. It's the easiest way to start building backlinks, and to help your site rank, it's easy to put your company on those profiles on social media listings and put a link back to your website. Backlinks and business listings help bring in clients by listing your services across the web. If you link your website from these listings and profiles as well, you help validate your company and website, which will result in higher online organic search ranking. Keep in mind your business should have its own separate pages on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn where your website is linked. Don't just put it on your personal Facebook page. You want to have its own unique company page where your website is linked from. And just putting it on sites like Yelp, Manta, Yellow Pages, anywhere where people are looking for services, your business should be listed with that website. It'll help just your services and your company in general, but also promote your website on organic searches. And so in addition to social media and business listings, it's important that your company and website are included in industry-specific networks. Listing your company and website on high-ranking industry websites help legitimize your company, but also help search engine bots recognize what type of services you provide. An industry-specific listing increases your own website's ranking for what you actually want to appear in. Make sure that your site is linked from sites in your field and area. So as a legal support professional, you can look at directories, associations, and court or law firm websites, as having your website linked on other industry-specific sites categorize your website in the legal and process serving field and help search engine bots identify your purpose, industry, and services and help rank them accordingly. And ServeNow also has a tool to help you get started for what you could potentially list your site on, and that is our Courts and Bar Association page. So if you live in Nevada, you can click on that, and it'll take you down and show you links to the State Bar of Nevada, statewide Nevada courthouses, and the judiciary. Just help get you started on some ideas of where you could list your website if they have a process server page. And if not, there's no harm in contacting them too to see if they need a process server for their own use. So I know I covered a lot, but are there any other questions that we want to go over?
Yeah, I think we have a couple. I'll get to those in a second. Just to add to the links conversation, places where you can list your business and get links. The resource that Maddie showed you, that will be in the summary. That's a great place to look. But certainly go to Google, do a search for, process servers, Nevada, attorney services, California, however you define your business, where you want people finding you. And you do that search, that's going to show you the sites that Google sees as an authority. And if there's an opportunity for you to get listed on a directory, a bar site, a partner site, someone else in your industry, definitely try to find a way to get your company listed there.
Yeah, if they're ranking, you want to be on their site.
Yeah, I mean if they're ranking, they're an authority site for that term, for that industry. Those are the places that you want to be looking. So Scott had a couple questions earlier, and they're not necessarily in our wheelhouse, but the first question is, I'm in the process of developing an e-commerce site to sell investigative equipment. Your opinion on using BigCommerce as my main e-commerce platform to sell products, essentially. I am not super familiar with that platform. Are you, Maddie? I mean, e-commerce is not, selling products and things of that nature, shopping carts. That's not really our world so much. I do have some suggestions, but Maddie, I don't know if you have any suggestions before that.
I mean, just in general research to see other options too. Don't just pick the first thing that you come across. It's always a good idea to research and know all your options so you can see what works best for your company.
Yeah, I would trust the developer. I would, look for other examples. I would certainly, do searches for comparisons, BigCommerce reviews or whatever. We are a little bit familiar with WooCommerce, which is a plugin, or not a plugin, but it's essentially a shopping cart that you can add to your WordPress site if it is on a WordPress platform. Shopify is one that's used by a lot of e-commerce folks, and that's pretty turnkey. So I would potentially consider that as well. I would want to know more about what you're doing. So Scott, if you want to shoot us an email to marketing@ServeNow, we can certainly dig deeper into that question for you. And then the second part was, how do you secure your site against hacking? Certainly what Maddie said in regards to, HTTPS, SSL certs, that's the first thing that you want to do. But again, I think it depends on the platform as well. Maintaining that site, there's always going to be patches and upgrades to any platform, whether it's WordPress or, something else out there. So you want to make sure you're not building a website and just leaving it out there. You either want to have the ability to maintain it, update it yourself, or you want to have a resource or a developer to go to who you have a maintenance contract with to do that.
Yeah, and we also touched on there's a lot of different forms of security, so you should do some research of what type of security is best for your e-commerce site.
Sure. And another question from Jane, what about reviews? This may not be the right webinar, but didn't you once have something that showed how to get reviews and how those help your rankings? That's a great question. And that will kind of tie into something that we mentioned in our summary here. But yeah, you want to talk about how reviews can help with rankings?
Yeah, so reviews are more of a local optimization, and I think KJ did a webinar about local optimization, but reviews help your site rank because Google sees those 5 stars, 4 stars, and realizes, okay, not only is this a legitimate company that someone used, they're a good company, and they recognize that if your site's linked from that review, that this website is valuable. So getting reviews boil down to asking your satisfied customers. You can do an email campaign, follow up with a phone call asking for a review and sending a link. And you want reviews on Google, not just your website itself. So including testimonials on your website can be a good idea just so people who make it to your site can see those. But having them outside of your website on other platforms like Google, Yelp, Facebook, they all help legitimize that website.
And we'll include links to some of those posts, some of that content that we've created in this summary as well, because it does all fit together, it all ties together for sure. Awesome. I am not seeing any more questions. However, we will be on for another couple minutes. If you do want to throw some questions our way, if you think of something later, certainly shoot us an email through the contact form on ServeNow or marketing@ServeNow. Maddie, I think you have a couple more kind of summary slides, so I'll let you do that before we forget.
Yeah, just one slide. So just to kind of wrap up here, a lot of what we talked about today, we already provide. I know there's a lot of options out there to choose a website builder, but our sites, we handle a lot of the behind the scene features so that, your website's working, your contact form is working, everything's fast, the code is clean and crawlable. Basically so that you guys can focus on serving papers, not worrying about your website. Our prices vary. Website setup fees range from $300 to $500, and monthly is about $35.95. But we do have discounts for ServeNow members, so you should definitely contact your marketing consultant if you're interested. And we're also here just to take a look at websites, see if you guys have any questions, if you can improve. And alongside of improving your website itself, we also have products that help support all that, enrich your marketing, like local optimization, a social media page setup if you're nervous to set up your own business page on Facebook. And we also offer marketing consultations. So we have a lot of resources, a lot of good designers and developers here who can help you guys with your website. So thanks for listening. That's all I got.
Yep. Yeah, I guess I'll just add, to that, it's really a full service product, down to the content, the imagery. We do a whole onboarding process where we, just tell us what you want and we'll build it. We'll go through iterations. If you don't like the first concept, we'll make changes. It's a really, really nice product, and it's worked out really well for a lot of our members. As Maddie said, I think we've built, over 250 of those for our customers. There was something else I was going to say. But yeah, we even make sure that it's secure. We have the SSL. We did have a question come in. Let's see if it's relevant. A question was, how much for improving a website? I guess, Vicki, we'd have to take a look at that. So, maybe shoot us an email or we'll reach out to you and we'll, kind of look at that in detail. It's not necessarily a product that we offer as far as taking and improving an existing website. However, as a ServeNow member, we do, as Maddie said, offer marketing consultations. So that could fit into what you're looking for. If you're a ServeNow member, we offer 30-minute marketing consultations to our members. Kelsey Johnson, our marketing manager, usually does those, and we could certainly take a look at your website, give you some bullets or some tips that either you could apply yourself or you could hand off to your web designer to make some improvements there. So that might be the best route to go. But other than that, Maddie and everyone out there, thank you for joining us today. I think this was great. If you have any follow-up questions, certainly shoot us an email. The summary, all the resources, the recording of today's webinar will be online probably in the next few business days or so on ServeNow.com. Just go to ServeNow and click on the EDU section. And all the people who registered for the webinar will be getting a link to that page where they can go directly to that. Again, we're on YouTube and iTunes, so subscribe to those. And if you have ideas on future webinars, please let us know, and we'd be happy to entertain those. Again, Maddie, thank you so much, and we'll talk to all of you soon.